Hello and welcome, everybody.
Yay. Hi, everybody.
Wow, I see a lot of chat coming through already. That's exciting.
Yay.
I,
Christine, hi.
I want to say hello to everybody, but the chat is going by really quick. Hi, Jessica, Judy, Sherry, Eva, Christine, Cecilia.
Peter Brook, my friend.
Just know we're saying hello to all of you. I'm really excited about this live. Originally, it was going to be me and Greg chatting about scripting, but I love a crowd, so I invited other teachers who do things about manifesting. We have, yes, I'm going to go through and introduce everybody. We have these amazing, amazing teachers here. I'm so excited because now I get to learn a lot more about manifesting and scripting because believe it or not, I'm not an expert in scripting. It's just something that I love to do. And I just do it however I want. So I've been listening to books on scripting though, which is kind of cool, the different perspectives, but I still do whatever I want. Hey, Blossom Violet, my twin, how are
Hey,
you?
Blossom.
So we are going to, I'm gonna go through and let everybody introduce themselves. I know that you know who these people are, but I'm gonna let you introduce yourselves and tell everybody about yourself. And I'm gonna start, let me see, I'm gonna start with EPEC.
Okay, let's start with me. Hello and welcome, everybody. Lovely to be with fellow teachers. Thank you for organizing this, Violet, as always. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is İpek Williamson. Originally, I'm from Turkey. I was born in Istanbul, Turkey, but later in life, I moved to Ontario, Canada, and I live in Sarnia. It's a small city very close to Michigan border. So I'm a transformation coach and, as you know, meditation teacher. I'm also a certified positive intelligence coach, and I love working with people. My mission statement is bringing the world closer to calm, one beautiful soul at a time, and everything I do is aligned with that mission that I have. My dream is every child going to school start their day with a 5-minute meditation. That's my dream, and if and when that happens, the world will be a different place. So
I
that's
love
me.
that. Love that. That's beautiful. Right. I'm going to move on to you, Jackie. And just so everybody knows, we had 5 people and Jackie sent me a message because she joined and my response was hell yes.
For those who don't know me, I'm Jackie Mancuso. This is Piston. This is my big boy Piston behind me. He's my spirit dog. On Insight Time, I've been on Insight Timer since December of 21. I started as a astrology yoga teacher, and now I'm an astrologer who pulls oracle cards. So when I come on Insight Timer, I just kind of flow with whatever comes through. I offer a lot of guidance. I offer a lot of messages, and I feel that I am a teacher to help people learn how to apply astrology to their lives. I think I'm really good at breaking it down in a way that makes it understandable. So it's not this big overarching, like, oh shit, the planets are gonna screw us over, right? So why I reached out to Violet about scripting, it was just a strange turn of events. My life has become incredibly synchronistic over the last few years. And on Wednesday last week, I pulled some cards and multiple cards were like, hey, it's time to start scripting, time to start scripting, time to start scripting. So I dedicated myself to a daily scripting practice. And then I was looking through Violet's events and I saw this one today and I was like, that's the one. I have to start here. So I do have some practice with scripting. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert, but I've done it a lot. So nice to meet everybody.
Awesome. And Greg. Oh no, Greg's muted.
There we go. Gonna have to move locally instead of there. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Phillips. I'm an energy healer, a channel, and a spiritual guide for seekers and sensitives who are on the path of the heart. And what that means to me is I'm just trying to help people get out of their heads and live from their heart more so that they can vibrate at the highest possible vibration, which currently accessible to us is love. And it's just been huge on my journey for many, many years, for decades of just practicing being in the moment and trying to find the best perspective, even if I'm in the middle of the crap. In the last few months, I've begun working with a group. I'm not sure what their group of beings that I channel called the Council of Seven. And I do a lot of readings online, as you guys know, and I do personal coaching. And I've been doing my version of scripting for dozens of years. It's something that I was taught by Abraham Hicks like 20 years ago. And at the time they called it pre-paving your experience. And so I love this topic, and I love that there are different ways to do it. There's lots of subtleties and nuances to manifesting. And I think that the scripting encompasses that really beautifully. If you're wanting a nice explanation of it, Violet was so kind to give me permission to use a clip that I used in one of my lives to describe it. And she said it was perfect. So we made a track out of it. And check it out if you want. What did I call it? The power and premise of, I forget what I called it. The power
Yeah, it
and
was
premise of scripting as a tool for manifesting.
yes, yes, yes. And it is in my, if you click on my link, not only can you find all the teachers' profiles, but you will find tracks that I picked from each of them. And that one is in there because I tried to pick tracks related to scripting or manifesting. So click on my link. And I'm not saying what it is because I've gotten myself in trouble for saying what my link is, but it's my name. So it's easy to find.
I deal a lot when it comes to scripting and manifesting. I deal a lot with the energetics and the emotional component of it, because for me, in my life experience, those have been the two primary aspects of it that have been helpful for me.
All right, Carly, a smile from heaven.
Hi, thank you for having me again. Super excited and a bit nervous because when Violet invited me to come and do some stuff about scripting, I was like, I don't know what the hell scripting. But then when she explained it to me, I was like, oh, well, yeah, I do different types of journaling and stuff over the time. So welcome. Thank you for coming and supporting Violet, to Melanie, Greg, Jackie, and Ipek, and me. I'm super excited about today, and I'm a creative arts therapy practitioner. All forms of creativity and utilizing our creativity in different ways to connect within. And so that could be creative writing if we're talking about scripting and journaling. It could be creative art journaling. It could be, just connecting in with our emotions and how they feel, and then processing it through different forms of creativity. So yeah, my biggest passion is people choosing themselves and choosing to sit with their vulnerable self and connect in with their inner artist so that they can access their own intuition, their own wisdom, and become their own guru. And I use creativity in many forms in that sense. So yeah, and I use cacao along with my creativity as well. So I'll talk about that when it's my turn to talk about my journaling and processing. So thank you.
Yes, and that's why I invited Carly, because I've watched her creating journals, and just her creative stuff is amazing. I'm not a creative person artistically. All my creativity is in the computer. That's it. So I love watching creative people. I think it's amazing how you create things like that. And speaking of creative people, I'm moving on to Melanie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melanie Underwood. And Violet, I don't know if you know this about me. I actually go to corporations and talk about how to develop your creativity because it's one of my core pillars. And I believe that everyone is creative. But when someone tells me they aren't creative, I know that they have a block. And I know that they're actually afraid of kind of showing the world who they really are. And you're doing it, but I know that you're creative.
Oh, thank you. I agree. I definitely have a block.
So I think most of you know I do mindful cooking and intuitive baking. My whole thing is to teach, food is something that grows in the ground. It's very grounding for us and obviously nourishes our body. And I always hope to teach people how to develop their, curiosity and creativity, confidence for sure, and connection through food. And that connection is to ourselves and to each other, because food is such a beautiful way to bring people together. And Violet, thank you for having me. And I'm so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you as teachers that are with us, and all the students as well.
Thank you for being here, all of you. You know, I keep going back to that first time that my creativity is in the shower, as you know, thoughts come to me. That shower thought about doing something called Ask Your Guides. And Melanie was the one who I know is up at 1 a.m. So I texted her and I was like, do you think this is a silly idea? And she was like, I think it's a great idea and you should try it. And we had no idea what we were going to do, but this keeps evolving. We have our Ask Your Guides, which is our Q&A. And now we're doing our little spin-offs. I like to call these my spin-offs. So the scripting is the first one. Jackie is going to do one on astrology, which I'm really excited about. And what was the other one that was recommended to me? Oh, journaling was another one that was recommended to me. And Melanie's going to be doing one on cooking. So I'm going on vacation tomorrow for a few days with the family, but when I come back, I'm scheduling them all because I'm excited. 108. Look at that. Jackie, it's so funny that you should say that too, because I remember years ago when I was a user on Insight Timer, I used to go to Your Lives all the time, and that number would always come up and I would always pop it in the chat. And I'm like, these people are going to think I'm weird, but I keep seeing this number. And you were so supportive of that. So I didn't feel like a complete idiot for pointing it out, because I'm like, this number is following me everywhere I go. And it kept happening during your lives. So I love that that just came up and that you pointed that out. That's awesome.
Always. That's
So-
like our number. Was that even your
Yes.
username at the time? Was it Violet 108 the
No.
whole time?
No.
Interesting.
No, I changed it because it kept popping up and I didn't even know what it was. I was like, what is this number? Why do I keep seeing, if I go to the store and I buy something, it's $1.08 or 108 or, the time or every live I went to. I was like, why, how are there 108 meditators in every live that I'm going to? So I was like, all right, the universe is telling me something. I need to dig deep. And, eventually it's how I got here, which is what we're doing now, because I had no idea. I wanted to be a teacher because I loved interacting with the teachers, but I had no idea what I was going to do because, I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm not a meditation teacher. These teachers have these amazing gifts. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And the only thing that I used to play with were my crystals and my cards. I'm like, all right, that's how I'm getting in. But that wasn't really my strength. It was just something fun to do. And from that, like this has evolved. And I just feel like that was my message. Like it was just get in there any way you can and just figure it out as you go along. And here we are. And that's why I'm so excited. And the scripting was something that I was doing for a while. And I would actually write in my book every day. I'm an Insight Timer teacher. I'm doing these amazing lives. I'm loving it. And again, didn't know how I was going to do it or why, but it happened. So I'm a huge believer in scripting. And I want these teachers who are here with you, who are really good at talking about manifestation and journaling and all that. I just want them to share with you whatever they want to share tonight. So this is not moderated. So jump right in and feel free to talk, anybody who wants to. Go ahead, Carly. I saw your hand up.
So when I was thinking about what to talk about, I was either going to talk about all my beautiful art journals, but then it's
Well
hard to
done.
show the process because there's a lot that goes into this sort of stuff. So then I thought, no, I'm just going to talk about how I would do a 30-day journaling process. And I've done it in the past as part of my cacao ceremonies. And so for anybody who follows along to like the moon phase, we know that every phase of the moon gives us a beautiful different energy. And when we learn to work with those phases of the moon as opposed to against them, everything seems to flow a lot easier. So I read this amazing journaling book from a friend of mine's daughter, actually, and I have this beautiful little, she has this beautiful little process where you follow the, you set it out for 30 days. So I do this in my ceremonies. You invite in your higher power, you invite the universe, and you write it all out. So whatever you're saying, you write it out. So universe, I invite you to join me in this space, and you write it down. Help guide me give me clarity, give me confidence. I'm open, ready, and willing. And you write every single word down. And then for me anyway, at the new moon, obviously being that it's the start of a new lunar phase, best time for new intentions, new challenges. Create a list of things that you're desiring. So 3 things that you desire. And we want to make them, for me anyway, you want to make them 3 really simple, manageable things that are actually achievable. You then write down a list. There's a big process. I'm not going to go through every single step, but and then you write down who you get to become with that list. So who do you show up as? Someone who trusts that they're divinely guided, someone who's open to receiving, someone who accepts the discomfort. You write every single bit down that you get to become. And you write down a list of inspired action steps that you take. Because it's all great to say, this is what I want to manifest, but if we don't take inspired action steps, nothing's ever going to change. So then you make a list of, again, 3 really simple, manageable things that you can put into place and achieve within that 30 days. So if it's about money, for example, one of your action steps might be becoming really intimate with your finances, start tracking it, get up to date with your bills, actively put a plan in place. These are things that we can do. Even if you're not going to win the lotto within that 30 days or make $1 million within that 30 days, there are still steps that you can take. So we want to make everything, break it down into really small, manageable chunks. Then at the end, you write a declaration of gratitude, and like Violet's scripting, you write it in the present tense as if it's already happened. So it starts off by saying, it is done. I'm beyond grateful that I have manifested, released, cleared, blah, blah, blah as well. So, at the start, it's when you're writing your intention out, universe, my intention is to feel, clear, release, whatever, on or before, and then you put the date, 30 days from now. It is done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there's a big process, and each phase of the lunar cycle, when we go through, you get to work with the different sections. So, the waxing crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous, it's all about taking action, focusing on it, working out what's been working and edit it. Then we get the full moon where we release those last things that we've been holding on to so that we can manifest those intentions. Then coming into the end of that phase, the waning gibbous, the last quarter, the waning crescent, letting go, surrendering, forgiving ourselves, and rest and self-care. And when we work with those phases in our journal and physically write down every single thing that you're saying in here, we start seeing things change. And in one of our cacao ceremonies, I had somebody in the UK who'd been following along with all my ceremonies, and he sent me this amazing message, Neil from the UK, and he had been debilitated by anxiety for 3 years, and he did this ritual with me, and it's probably been nearly a year now, and he still it hasn't come back. He released it, he cleared it by breaking it down into these steps and following this little guide. So yeah, anyway, that was a lot. So thank you for letting me ramble. But that's, I think there's so many different ways of journaling and manifesting, but I think if we break it down into manageable steps, but take the time to embody who you get to become, not just I want, it's I am. And
I
we write it all
am. I
down.
always do. I am. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love your cacao ceremonies. One of these days, I'm actually going to buy cacao and cacao along.
But just make sure you get ceremonial grade cacao for an actual ceremony. Yes.
I will not buy anything until I check with you.
I have some
Awesome.
you can have, Violet.
Okay, good, good. And I saw Ipek had her hand up. So, and just jump right in.
Yeah, thank you. So my way of scripting is that's what I recommend my clients to do, and I do myself, is that at the beginning of every year, like first day of the year or second day at the latest, I write my year that is coming as if it's already over. and I write what I accomplished, what I created, what I did, like made my dreams come true throughout that year. And as if already happened, and as if I'm already so grateful for all of that. And this is an exercise that I do every year. And when I look back at the end of the year, I look back, first of all, by doing that, I think I'm setting intentions. I'm sending the message to the universe, and the universe makes them reality. And most of the things I write as if it already happened turn out to happen throughout that year. So first of all, for sure, write it either in the present tense and or as if it already happened, like in the past tense, not in the future tense. I will is not acceptable. It's not good enough. And in manifesting things, gratitude, feeling of gratitude is so potent and important. I think that's the magic of manifesting, because without that, it's missing a big important component. When you feel as if you already had what you desire and want or dream, you already have it, and you can feel the feelings of gratitude that you would feel when that already happened, really happened in your life, then you bring yourself to the exact level of energy of that whatever you are dreaming of, and that makes it so much more easier to manifest in your life. So that's at this point, that's all I have to say.
I love what you said about gratitude, because Melanie and I were talking about that. I said gratitude for me is a huge thing, and I think people forget that sometimes, and it's so important. Like I do my scripting in the morning and my gratitude journal at night, and I'm always looking back, like I'll go back through things I've written years ago and I'm like, wow, look how far I've come. Like I'm so grateful for everything that I have and everything that I've accomplished. And I think that without that gratitude, you're not putting out the right vibe. If you're not expressing that gratitude, I think it's really important. So I love that you said that. And Melanie, unmute yourself.
Thank you. I mean, I've said it to you before, Violet. I did a version of this in high school because I wrote my college essay as my obituary. And so that was me talking about all the things that I had accomplished in my life. And it was all the goals and dreams and desires that I had. And it was such a beautiful way to really put it out there. And a lot of that came true when I looked back. And so for me, I am, as you know, really into gratitude. It's probably the thing that I do most, but I do have a journal and I write in it every day. And I do gratitude in the AM and in the PM, but I also do a lot of writing in the present tense, as EPEC was saying and Carly was saying. And I really am also a believer, though, in action steps, like Carly said, because I have a business and nothing is manifested, no matter how hard I want it, if I don't take steps to make it happen. So it's okay to say, I am going to be a successful businesswoman, but if I'm not doing anything on the back end, it's not going to happen, no matter how much I write it down. So I don't have the journal with me, but it's very cool because and I have one for business and one for personal, but in it, I do write those action steps down, and I do mine quarterly, kind of tied into the seasons, but also tied into business quarters. And it really helps me in my success. I feel like I have a lot of business because I am putting in those action steps in addition to writing it down and in addition to my gratitude. I mean, if anybody follows me, they're seeing all the time. Someone asked me yesterday, how can you be so kind to people all the time? Doesn't it get old? And I said, no, it doesn't actually take that much energy to be kind to people because it comes back threefold easily. So
You
I think
told them that you're not kind all the time though, right?
I did. I said, those who know me the best know that I
I'm
can be a
kidding.
total jerk. Just ask my husband.
Not good to ask them.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think writing is such an important part of my life. So I always recommend that people have, it doesn't have to be a fancy journal. I use a notebook, you know, it's a 3-ring binder and I just have it divided up. And I do have a pen that I love because I want to write with a certain type of pen, but I just write it down. And I think that's what's really important and tied into what I said to Violet earlier is not holding yourself back, putting it all out there, expanding. Don't limit yourself and think, I can never have that. I can't do that. Who cares? You're the only one reading this. So if you're like, I want to, you know, climb every mountain, put that out there. You put it out there because maybe it's not going to all happen, but don't already start limiting yourself because there's so much limitations coming in for everybody from everywhere all the time that put out your biggest dreams and desires and gratitude and you'll start to figure it out. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. I love that. Jackie?
I just want to say that everyone here has been amazing so far. Like all the points you guys are talking on, I'm making little notes like, oh, that's right. I want to hit on that too. This is great so far. We're all talking about future tense or past tense, right? You don't want to ever script say, I want this, because then you're going to create that want. If you keep saying, I want this, I will do this, you're going to keep pushing it away, pushing it away. I have so many like random notes and I want to talk about all of these. I just want to see how I can get them in. So I kind of started scripting on accident. And it started because I was frustrated with a relationship. So I forgot where I learned this, some energy healer teacher person, and she recommended to write out everything that sucks. Acknowledge your anger, get it out, express it. I hate this about my life. I'm really disappointed with this about my life. Because I saw in the chat, someone was saying that they have a really hard time with gratitude. And if you're trying to spiritually bypass, if you're trying to just positive paint over your life and not acknowledge the stuff that's actually needing to be addressed, gratitude isn't going to sit. Like gratitude isn't going to work because you're trying to fake it. So it's okay to express that stuff sucks. It's okay to start with a list of, I don't like this. Then you can take it and literally flip it. So the practice that I have right now, I just started it last Wednesday. I'm scripting 5 to 10 minutes every night before bed because that's what my oracle cards told me to do. And some days I sit down and it's a little lofty, like, no, I don't know what I want. I'm just going to start writing. But other days I will go through my day. And when something irks me, when something pisses me off, I'll write it on the other side of my journal. Like, okay, I'm going to flip this tonight. Oh, I don't like the way that this person talked to me. I'm going to flip it tonight. Oh, I don't like how many followers I have on this social media. I'm going to flip that tonight. I'm going to boost it, you know? So I like that. You are flipping, you are transmuting the things in your life that are showing you what you don't want. I started scripting a lot about what I wanted in my marriage. And for those of you who know me, I'm in the middle of a divorce right now and I'm like happy as a clam. But what has happened was over the last few years, I was scripting, I'm going to be like this, he's going to be like this, our life is going to be like this. I was doing it in present tense or whatever. But I was writing out exactly what I wanted to manifest in my marriage and it wasn't happening and I was getting frustrated. And then it kind of showed up in another avenue. So that's how it worked for me. I don't know how it worked for you, but the idea of being open to magic, the idea of telling the universe what you want, but then being open to a different way. I liked what Melanie was talking about where you don't hold yourself back, dream big, but also don't try to figure out how it's going to happen. Because a lot of this stuff is way too magical for you to even comprehend with your little tiny ego brain. Okay, brain, thank you. You can organize information. The thinking is going to come from in here. So dream big, let it go. And it is so because I say so, and so it is. That's my favorite affirmation. Feel free to take that. So thank you.
Love that. Alejandro has a good question. He says, do you all get to the point where you just don't feel like scripting? That doesn't happen for me. I keep and there's something I do want to say. I know people feel you should always use pen and paper, and I have to confess that I'm not. I do have journals that I use all the time. I have these because I like cute stuff. I have this cute one, and I have this one that I love because it's like this leather bound one with all the chakras on it. This is my gratitude journal. And then this is my other journal. And then upstairs, I have a tablet that I keep by my bed with an e-pen. And every morning I get up and I pull out that tablet and I start scribbling there. And I will write whatever. I mean, sometimes I write the same thing every day. So you don't have to be like, you don't have to put pressure on yourself. I got to come up with something good. It could just be like, I'm going to have a great day today and I'm going to kick butt and, whatever. Or sometimes it's a long-term goal. Like something that I'm working on for the future that I'll write about. It varies from day to day. So I can't say that I ever like lose the urge to script because sometimes I just scribble and I'll just keep writing. I am, I feel, I am, whatever, just whatever comes to mind. Greg, what do you have to say about that?
It's so funny that Alejandro just asked that because I raised my hand in order to talk about something like this. So I was meeting with a client earlier and she asked a question clarifying, do I have to journal? Do I have what is like, it doesn't feel right for me when I do that. I do it in my mind. And so I want to kind of explain the energetic dynamic of what scripting is about. And honestly, you don't have to journal. If it works for you, do it. You can practice scripting by writing a song while you're walking. You can practice it, when you're in the shower. The most important thing about it is that what you're doing is you're training your mind so that you begin to make a practice of getting in the right energetic and emotional state so that you can allow the reception of what you're wanting. And understanding how this works is super, super key. So then this is not my explanation. This is an explanation from Abraham that they've been talking about for decades. If you don't know Abraham Hicks, you can check out, they were one of the very original teachers of the law of attraction, and beautiful, beautiful kind of learning that that's the very first time I ever read any book that had no human ego in it at all, and where I felt completely loved and supported, even when they were sharing things that I didn't want to hear. So they talk about how every time we experience a desire, that desire shoots off to the universe, whatever you want to call the universe, God, source, to the divine, whatever. And because the energy of the universe is always in the most highest possible vibration energetically, the minute they receive that desire, they create it energetically. And then it's our job to line up with that and get ourselves in a position where we can allow that to come to us. But we can't do that if we're always telling the stories of what's wrong, of what we don't like. But we also don't want to judge ourselves and jump down our throats and be overly critical, which we all have in our mind. Like I have it. I'm sorry. I have a critical part of my mind that beats me up and gets scared about the future and worries about repeating things from the past. It happens. It's part of being a human. It's part of being a person, right? What we want to do is we want to just simply recognize that we're telling a story about what we don't want. And when you understand that when you're telling a story of what you don't want, you are also firing off these, as Abraham called it, rockets of desire, rockets of requests to the universe of what you do want. So the task is really, whether you journal or whether you use your mind or whether you do it creatively, it doesn't really matter what method that works for you, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to line up with the way the universe sees it. So let's say, for example, you're wanting a new relationship and you've just habitually told the story of how bad the relationship is. Every time you tell somebody that story, what you're saying to the universe is you're saying you want the more positive version of that, the higher perspective of that. I like to say, see things through the eyes of love. And the universe goes, gotcha, cool, we made it for you. now get yourself into alignment with it. And that's not easy as a person. It's just not. So when Violet talks about scripting and wanting to, and Ipek was talking about this earlier, when you're talking about any practice of manifestation, you're wanting to be in the moment with it. But why are you wanting to be in the moment with it? It's not because of the words. It's not even because of the thing. If you want a new relationship, it's not because of the relationship. It's because of how you think it will make you feel when you get it. And what we don't always remember, and which is one of the reasons I'm here, is to remind us that we have the capacity to feel the way we want right here and right now, which is why scripting in the present tense and from a feeling place is so important. So my client was asking me, do I need to write like the specifics out, because there's a lot of people who talk about it different ways. And I said, here's the thing about the specifics. If writing the specifics feels good, if you are making that emotional and energetic connection, then write in the specifics, because you know what? You might have it nailed right on the head. But if you're feeling kind of loosey-goosey with it, if it's not really feeling like, just not flowing or something, then simply ask the universe for the way that you want to feel. And let's take the relationship example. I want to feel a deeper connection, or I'm asking for more connection. I'm wanting to feel a deeper sense of belonging. I'm wanting to feel more love, more joy, more adventure, whatever. You don't even take the words more out, because more is still a comparison of where you are now with what you're wanting. You can feel that joy right now as you tell a more positive story. Scripting is just a writing practice to help you learn how to tell more positive stories about what you want, and not in a wishful thinking or hopeful way, and not in, like Jack, you're saying, the spiritual bypassing, whatever. You're not trying to jump over things, because I love what Jackie said about that. If you're angry about something, you have to be angry about it. The next emotion up might be feeling a little bit better, but you can't jump from anger to love. It's impossible. Like, even molecules don't move that way. It's just impossible to do that. So if you're feeling sad, or if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling, my most common thing is disappointed. I don't know why, but that seems to be my big negative emotional theme. I have to first get to a place of accepting that. I can start to tap into being pissed about it. And once you get angry about something, then the energy has some motion. It's not stagnant. It's not kind of like muddy waters. It's kind of like, I won't swear, but I'm like, F you, or whatever. It's okay to be that way. Because then when you let it start moving, emotion, energy, and motion, then you're like, okay, I'm kind of done being angry about this, because I realize it's not really going anywhere. And then you start to get a little bit closer to contentment. And when you start into the acceptance, and then when you get a whiff of hope, you start to realize that there's all new perspectives that you didn't even consider. And that's another reason to script, is to try to open yourself up to the new perspectives. If you don't like writing, Alejandro, if you have a writing block, screw it. Don't write, buddy. Just practice training your mind to do this, because what matters isn't how you do it. It doesn't even matter what the topic is, but what matters is how you feel about it. Because the better you feel about things, the lighter, the more relaxed, the more open-hearted, the more expansive it is, then you know you're on the right track. And when you just ask the universe for the way you want to feel, get specific about that. If you have trouble getting specific about what you want in a relationship, or in a car, or in a home, or a business, or a job, don't worry about it. Get specific about how you want to feel, and then just keep tweaking your preferences. Because what happens is, I gave this example of my client earlier, and then I'll stop talking. Let's say you want to buy a new home, and you walk in, and the realtor takes you to this place, and they show you this gorgeous home, and you walk in, you're like, oh, it feels amazing in here. I love the layout. I love the colors. Everything's cool. I might change X, Y, and Z. But it's way outside my budget, and it's way outside the neighborhood of where I wanted to live, and my commute is super, super long. Okay, now you know a couple things. You know the preference of how you want the house to feel, the vibe, right? The energy of the house. You know what you like for the layout. You got a little bit more clarity about how far you're willing to drive, and you know what we know what's within your budget. These are all just preferences. And every time you go to visit a new house with the realtor, you continue to refine the preferences around that until you get that yes when you find the house that's just for you. And that's exactly the process. I mean, a house is a concrete thing to look for, but if you're talking relationship or anything else, It's the same. Get specific with the preferences to the best of your ability. Get specific with the feelings, and then let the universe knock your socks off, because you might, in being too specific, the universe might require more time to coordinate that for you. But if you let the universe knock your socks off, you might be able to manifest, a mansion that your whole family can move into, so you can finally have that, closeness with your family, or God only knows what you want, right? It depends on what you're asking. So just a little bit about that. Thank you.
Love it. Melanie.
Well, I think one thing that's important to point out is that just as there are 6 of us here and 206 there, everyone is going to do what works for them. And that's the most important thing, because we can tell you the way we do it, but you have to do it the way that works for you. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. And so just remember, pick up whatever it's doing on the computer, pen to paper, however you want to do it, because you can now walk away from this and say, well, Greg is doing it this way and Melanie's doing it this way and Jackie's doing it that way. I don't know what to do. Screw that. Do it the way that you need to do it, whatever that is. And I think Alejandro said he doesn't really love to write, and I saw some other people putting that in the chat. A great thing to do that I do when I'm walking is I use my phone, and I'll talk into my phone, and it's text it out for me. And you can also use AI for that. If you are really concerned about privacy issues, don't, but I feel like everyone knows everything about us anyway, so I don't care. And I'll use AI when I don't feel like typing and just speak it into AI and then cut and paste it. So I really want people to just remember that it has to work for you, because first and foremost, if it doesn't, you're not going to do it. And then you're also not going to embrace it and embody it. And that's really the most important thing. And the other thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to stop talking, is really everything that we're all telling you is about connection and connecting to yourself and your soul. And that's how you're going to find out and manifest and dream and have all your desires, is just connecting to you, yourself.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Well, very well said, Melanie. I so agree with you. Everything is very personal, and whatever works for you, asking your intuition and going with it is the right thing to do. Always, only always. One thing that I want to go back to, the gratitude thing, because when you write and you feel the gratitude, it is easier to manifest. And the reason why for that is that feeling gratitude brings you to a level of frequency, level of vibration that makes you, we are, no matter what, we are magnets. Okay, you are a magnet. Each human being is a magnet, and we are attracting what we emit. The frequency we emit, we get the people, events, circumstances matched to that frequency. And gratitude is a higher frequency. And when we are there, there's a more possibility for us to bring positive stuff or things that we desire, we dream. And when we get to the importance of being specific in scripting, as Greg mentioned too, details help to paint a vivid picture of the desired reality. So describing your surrounding, the sensations, the people involved, even the sounds, the smells that accompany your vision. The more detailed, the better, because you then are putting yourself there. You are there already. And who said it? I don't remember. I think it was Jackie, maybe. Don't worry about how. Let it, like, how is not important. Leave it to the universe. Just focus on what you want to create, and let the universe take you there, really. I have a meditation that I recommend, that if you want to try on manifestation, my perfect life manifestation meditation is one of my tracks on this topic. And I would like to invite you to try that. On the other hand, there's a worksheet that I give to my clients, and it's called My Perfect Day worksheet. And with that worksheet, with the instructions, you create the perfect day. So from the beginning of the day, when you wake up, you describe how your world looked like, how your house looked like, how you look like. So you create that for yourself. It is a really good exercise to imagine what is possible. So as a gift to the attendees, participants of this session, please send me a direct message if you would like me to send you that worksheet, and I will, and including the teachers, of course.
Yeah, I would love that. Awesome. Thank you. Carly.
Thank you. The repairmans have decided to turn up an hour early, so I apologize if you can hear banging. I'll be really quick. It was
No, I
just
don't
quick.
hear it.
Oh, really? Okay. Thank God. On the gratitude, I want to just extend on gratitude what we've been talking about, agreeing with absolutely everything that everyone has been saying. It's fantastic. My problem with my gratitude journaling when I used to do it really regularly was my brain would get into saying the same thing over and over again. And it kind of felt sometimes like it had lost its meaning. You know, like I'm grateful for the sky, blue sky, and I'm grateful for my family. You know, like after a while, it started sounding really sarcastic and it started sounding like it didn't have a lot of meaning. So I shifted my gratitude journaling to just focusing on one thing and why. So like Ipek said, like adding all the details, for me, it was, I'm grateful for my husband today because he packed the dishwasher the way I like it packed. Or I'm grateful for my husband because he made dinner. Or I'm grateful for the blue sky because the rain has stopped and I managed to get the reloads of washing dry. You know, so for me, when I extended my gratitude as to why I was grateful for it, I didn't have to list 10 things that I was grateful for. I only had to list one thing and one or two reasons why I was grateful for it. Again, it taps into those feelings and emotions, which, like we've all been talking about today, is where our superpower is. When we access what it is we want to feel or how we are feeling, that's where our growth and healing is. So, you know, you can be grateful for your husband every day, but if it starts losing its feeling as to why you're saying that, and it's just like, you know, like when you start taking the same medication all the time, it stops having its effect. Start adding the why into it. Why are you grateful for it? Because then you can still have the same gratitude every day, but every day is a different reason why. Does that make sense?
It does. Absolutely.
That's my little addition to gratitude journaling.
Jackie, before I move on to you, I just wanted to touch on this great question that Anik has. She writes, I don't know if anyone touched on this already. Oh, I'm trying to scroll back. I'm sorry. How can we work with the feeling of not really being deserving or worthy of what you might be asking for? When I've tried to develop a habit of affirmations, I feel tangible discord in me. Like I don't really believe it's possible for me, so I feel like a fraud. Yes, that makes sense, Anik. I totally get it. And I think that's an excellent question. I'm gonna let Jackie jump into what she was gonna say, but I'm gonna ask everyone to think about Anik's question because I want to get back to that. Go on, Jackie.
It's good. I kind of want to pass it off to Greg because he had an immediate hand raise. I want to hear what Greg has to say. I can wait.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Greg. Greg, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I opened the wrong program, clicking on,
Oh.
trying to click.
Oh, you're muted again.
Behave, Zoom. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I love
Okay.
this question so much. So I got distracted by opening the wrong program. My apologies. So here's the thing. Well, the thing for me, see if this fits for you. If it resonates, great. If not, I'm trusting that the universe will help guide you on this. Who was it who asked this question? I didn't see the name.
Anik.
Honey.
Anik. Yeah. So this is the tricky part in my experience of when we're asking for the specifics. There's plenty of stuff I don't believe that I deserve, but I never ever have questioned whether I deserve to feel the way I want to feel. Now, it can be hard to accept for some people, depending on their life experience, and I've had this, it can be hard to accept feeling joyful because sometimes there's been so much pain and loss and suffering that it's almost like you can't even imagine feeling better, right? But our feelings are very natural. It's just like when you're hungry, your tummy growls. Not everybody recognizes that, but your body is giving you a physical sign that you're hungry. If you are the type of person that has learned to recognize that, not everybody does. But it's really, for me, when I think about our emotions, it's that simple. Our heart wants to feel good. It's our birthright to feel good, to have fun, to enjoy. And this is why, for me, what I was taught by Abraham and my original spirit guides, if we're having trouble working on any tool for manifestation, keep it as simple as asking the universe for the feelings, because ultimately, it's like when we get in relationships and we end up thinking that this person is the source of the love, or when we're in a job and we think that this specific job or this specific title or these specific tasks are the source of our fulfillment. Well, they might have been when we started that relationship or job, but we're humans. We change. Change is the only constant, right? And so if it changes, that means our preferences might have changed and how we feel about it might have changed. And so there's really only two options. We can change the way we feel about the current thing, and maybe it will line up with what we want, or we can look elsewhere. And that's why knowing how you want to feel, knowing, like in a job, knowing that you want to have a sense of freedom in that job, that's a really important preference to know. Knowing whether you want to have that feeling of challenge in a job, super important to know, right? But to say, I need to be intellectually challenged specifically, that maybe you are really clear that you need that. But if you know that it's about challenge, then maybe the universe will bring you a new kind of challenge that you need for your spiritual growth that may excite you way more than you would have expected, right? So if you're struggling with a sense of deserving, if you're struggling with specifics when you're doing any kind of manifesting, that's just, again, keep it simple, because every time you line up with the feeling, as Ipek said, you're lining up vibrationally. And even what I said earlier, you're lining up vibrationally with what the universe has in store. And because the universe loves us way more than we could even imagine, they've got amazing things in store for us. And so why be small? Why limit? I do it all the time. I limit myself all the time. I just do. But yeah, I think
Can I
that's
interject
that.
here, Greg? 'Cause
Go
this-
for it, sis. Yeah.
You set me up. This is
That's
exactly
great.
what
I
I was
love
going
it.
to start talking about.
Riff off it.
So I've been doing just a nightly scripting practice for 1 week, and I have been focusing on my feelings because I know that that is what I'm searching for. If you think you need X amount of dollars a year, is it that you need that, or do you need the safety and security? Do you need the financial freedom, right? So I've been scripting about all these things that I'm feeling, and I put myself in future tense, and I start my exercise in future tense, and then halfway through, I've recognized this multiple times. I feel this way now. I'm writing this as if it's the future looking back, but my God, I feel this now. And it's been the coolest thing. And it's helping me realize what you focus on during the day is going to be what you draw in. So if you are, where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you're focusing on everything that sucks, you're going to keep bringing it in. But that was really interesting to see it happen multiple days in a row. Like, wow, I want these feelings, but they're already here. So what am I not noticing throughout my day? I also wanted just to add about allowing your end goal to change. There have been times that I have scripted about this dream reality and I want things to be this way. And as Greg and all of us have been talking about, it's about the emotions that you're going to feel. So if the 3D reality script changes and it seems like you're no longer on your way to that goal, flow with it, because there's something else that's going to be showing up for you on the way to get you to the feelings that you want to feel. That's how magic works. And I actually want to say that like this is the perfect time to script about what you want. I'm going to go off on a little tangent about Monday's new moon. If you want more information, you can join me tomorrow morning at 8:15 Central Time. But Monday's new moon happens in Virgo. So new moons, new beginnings. Virgo is the sign, it's the last sign in the zodiac that has to do with ourselves before we cross into Libra, and that's where partnerships start. So in my opinion, Virgo is the energy of truly knowing oneself, truly being in oneself. You know yourself through and through. So therefore, you have a lot of service. You have a lot of love to give to people because you haven't yet been taken by another person. So we all had this opportunity on Monday to start a new beginning in regards to who the hell we are and what we want. So when it comes to scripting, I work with a lot of people who are engaged in their roles and they really love their roles. They are really good wives. They are really good mothers. They are really good teachers. They are really good partners. They are really good at filling these roles in the world. And what I want to encourage you guys to do with Monday's new moon specifically is write out, what do you want? Forget that you have kids, forget that you have dogs, forget that you have a job, like forget all of these roles just for a few moments. And if you were alone, what the hell would you want? Because I know I've gotten super wrapped up in roles and I forget who I am and what I'm on this earth for. Not to say that you aren't a great XYZ role that you play, but you get to have what you want in this life also. And it's been, everything's just been amazing. So that's it.
Love it. I love it. All right, Melanie.
Oh my God, now there's just so much to say.
I know.
And
I hope nobody's in a hurry because we're going to be here.
I totally agree with what you said, Jackie. I grew up on a farm and agriculture is so driven by the moon. That said, I also just want to remind people that you don't have to wait for a new moon. Every day is a new beginning, every hour, every minute. And because I work so much with people, I teach literally every day. I see people who sort of like what Anik said about, I don't feel worthy. And every moment is an opportunity, Anik, for you to feel worthy. And I think that all of us in here have different approaches to our worthiness. It's no secret. I have a lot of confidence. Violet, when we met, said to me, she felt like her astrologer told her that I was coming to her. She said her astrologer kept telling her, you're going to meet a really confident woman. You're going to meet a really confident woman. So my confidence was born from having a very confident mother and father who pretty much said to me, the world is your oyster. Go for it. You are the only person that will limit you. So I heard that message at a young age. So it's easy for me to already know I can accomplish whatever I want. But that said, if you didn't have that kind of background, sometimes people approach the fake it until you make it, which is my personal approach. I'll just go with it and keep doing it until I fall in line, if it's something I want. I do know, I'm good friends with another teacher here on Insight Timer who does not approach that philosophy at all. She's like, no, that's not being your authentic self. But for me, that is my authentic self. So again, I think you have to really connect to yourself and ask, like, why do I not feel worthy? Why am I not deserving? Because you are, as Greg said, everybody is deserving of all the things that they want. And I really believe that when people feel that they're not worthy, you need to start, in my opinion, really doing affirmations for yourself to help turn around that opinion. And again, because I'm a writer, I would be writing that shit down. I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm deserving of. And you are deserving. You're here. You can see from the love in the chat, everyone feels that way about you. And I hope that everyone knows that and feels that. So thank you.
Yes, that was a beautiful point. And I was pointing out to these people here that I did not think I was worthy of being a teacher on Insight Timer. And, let's use that as an example. If I had stayed in that state of mind, we wouldn't all be here right now. So I am so glad that I pushed beyond that and said, you know what? I'm going to try anyway, and I'm going to fake it till I make it. So I love that. EPEC, you have your hand up.
So there are a few things that I want to share. First of all, I loved what Melanie said about every day is a new opportunity to switch the gears, switch the story that we are telling about ourselves. And we are creating ourselves every day. And this creation is happening through our thoughts and our words. So our words are 27 times more powerful than our thoughts. So what you are saying about yourself, for example, at the beginning, Violet said, I'm not creative. You're creating more of that. Well, the moment you switch that toward, I am creative, I am so creative in every area of life, you will start being that. So we are creating ourselves, and we can change the way we create ourselves any moment. The second thing I wanted to talk about is something that Jackie said. Asking why is so important, because if you are scripting and you are saying, I want money, or I have so much money, you want to create that. But go deeper, ask further. Okay, I want money, but why? Why do I want money? What am I going to do with that money? So script about that to create that. And money is the vehicle to get there. So focus on what you really want and script on that thought, that desire. There was one more thing that I wanted to mention. Jess said that someone taught about manifestation practice, about this or something better. That's some of you might have missed that note, but I noticed that. I wanted to bring that up because it is so important to don't limit yourself with what you want. Like when you're when you want to create, you want to have some kind of car, some make and model, say that model or better. Because who knows, maybe universe has better plans for you. You will get something even much better. So do not limit yourself. You can create anything. We human beings are so pushed down, and our powers are so limited by the society, all the what is the word? Conditionings, that it is time to reclaim that power that we have. We are all creators. We are the pieces of one, and we are all connected to each other, and we are all equally powerful. So we need to put that outfit back on. So thank you. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Melanie.
I didn't lower my hand. I'm lower my hand from earlier, but I do want to say this because
Oh,
and you said the fake it till you make it doesn't resonate, which I think I was saying earlier, it doesn't resonate for everybody. It does for me. And to address what Greg said, I don't fake my emotions. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that. But telling yourself, I've got this, I can do it, is what I mean. You know, my mother always said, wow, I don't know how you got hired for that job. You were never really ready for it. How did you get that job? I was the assistant pastry chef at the Four Seasons Hotel New York when I was 22. So, you know, it's because I believe in myself. And the only way I think people believe in themselves is to get the messaging. And if you didn't get the messaging from family members when you were younger, you're going to have to start giving yourself that messaging. A firm believer I am in subliminal messaging also. Listen to tracks when you're sleeping. I also always did that as a kid. I used to remember, anybody my age, I used to make tapes and play them on my boombox at night. And I would say, like, you're amazing. You're great. You're good. Because I was an
Wow.
athlete. So I was like, I ran on the boys track team. And I was like, you're going to win. You're going to win. And there are, obviously I was a teen, but that is something that you can do today and listen at night while you're sleeping. And that really, I believe, helps so much. And there's a lot of great affirmation tracks. Anybody my age, Alejandro, I'm going to be 54 in November.
Oh, I didn't realize you were done talking. I was just gonna say, Siva said something about shadow work, and Jackie did a live on shadow work today, which unfortunately I missed, but I know her replays are out there, so I'm gonna watch it.
You gotta wait a second. The audio's super messed up. I gotta fix it, but the replay will be out there.
Okay, no problem. Carly, you have your hand up? Yes.
Yes, and I can't remember what I was going to say, but I'm going to just add on to what we've been talking about because I'm assuming it's all going to be the same sort of thing. So shadow work is an amazing. I used to run shadow work talks, haven't done one for ages. That was how I started on my journey after a breakdown, was connecting deep within myself, using cacao and being vulnerable with myself. People often ask me because they look at me and they watch all the teachers. This is not just me, but they watch all the teachers here in Insight Timer and they fangirl us and they're like, oh, these people have got it all together. Well, guess what? No, we don't. No, we don't. We have our own shit going on. We've got our own issues. We've got our own stuff that we're fighting through, but we're still showing up to prove that on this journey, which never ends, it's all about consistently showing up for yourself. And for me, people often say, but how do you, believe in yourself? And how do you, it's like, well, yeah, I've consistently shown up for myself. It's not just one thing. It's finding a toolbox of things that you can use that's going to work for you. So for me, that's cacao, that's creativity, that's yoga when I remember to do it. That's, doing the things that work for you, creativity with, say, painting might not work for you, but you might, be in the kitchen, or you might be out doing a certain form of exercise. Creativity comes in different ways, playing the piano, singing, dancing, all sorts of things. So creating a toolbox of multiple things that's going to work at different times as well, because otherwise you go, oh, normally I go for a run, but it's raining. So then you make up an excuse. Well, then find something else in your toolbox that's going to work in that scenario. But consistently showing up for yourself. For me, my biggest turn in my healing was calling myself out on my own BS and realizing that I played the biggest part in my own suffering by holding on to that victim mentality, by wallowing in my story, and by blaming everything around me, instead of going, you know what, I'm going to take radical accountability for my own shit and step up and say, enough's enough. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is coming to save you. It has to be you ready to stand up and say, enough's enough. It's up to me. And I actually do love that fake it till you make it, because like what Melanie was saying, it's not about faking your emotions. It's about, and I think, Violet, this is one of your favorite sayings, is feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what fake it till you make it means. Because it's not about faking emotions, and it's not about that toxic positivity like what Jackie was saying. We can't just be all light and love all the time. It's about feeling all those things and stepping up and doing it anyway. It is about choosing you. And until you choose you, nothing in your life will ever shift. And I can tell you from personal experience, from a person who was catatonic, I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't even swallow water. I was trying to drown myself in the shower. I was trying to sneak Jordan's pain meds and overdose. I was a goddamn mess. And I'm sitting here today because I stepped up for me, nobody else. My amazing husband, Jordan, who's in the chat, that not everybody here knows, but Jordan gets on the lives here with me sometimes, but Jordan is an amazing healer channel. He's an amazing spiritual medium. And he has helped so many people in this world, but he couldn't help me because I didn't want to help me until I was ready to help me. So that my passion in life is getting people to stop their own BS in their own head. Because the moment you keep saying and putting it out, like Ipek was saying, you put it out, that's what you're going to get back. I'm not good enough. Well, guess what? You are good enough. You are worthy enough. You are strong enough. You are important enough. And until you get that for yourself and start making that shift, and it doesn't have to be like Greg was saying, you don't have to go from one to the other all in one hit. It's about working through it. It's a process. You're going to have great days. You're going to have shit days. You're going to go forwards, backwards, sideways. It's about consistently keep on moving. That's it. That's I got very passionate. Sorry. Thank you.
I love that. I love everything that you said. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for not making me cry, because I was about to get a tissue. I'm hiding it behind my glasses.
I love that,
Jackie.
Carly. Thank you for sharing so deeply and from your heart. I really, really loved that.
So beautiful.
And we all,
Beautiful.
I'm guessing, I don't know everyone's story here, and I don't know everyone's story we all have a moment or multiple moments in our lives that are similar to what Carly was talking about. Not the specifics, but that moment where we're just down and out.
The
Mhm.
radical authenticity from teachers, I think, is one of the most valuable things that we can share. And that's something that I have been intentionally trying to just, here, guys, this is my life. It's kind of weird right now, but this is what's happening, just to like help people know that I'm not a perfect guru person. Like, I'm a real person and I'm working through things. So that means that you can do it also. So thank you for sharing. And I feel it. I feel the authenticity and I feel the inspiration. Like, yeah, I can make it through this tiny little blip that I'm in right now. I have brainwashed myself essentially to think that I am capable of doing things with affirmations. I am a proud, positive brainwasher. And I know that this is like slightly contradicting what I was saying earlier about like you have to acknowledge your pain, but it is a balance. You have to do enough shadow work and light work balance, do them both. So I'm kind of going back to Anik's thing with not feeling like you're worthy of it. Brainwash yourself to believe that you are worthy. Because there have been studies that like 90% of our thoughts every day are automatic. So why not control the thoughts that you are having to the best of your ability? I learned this from my dad. He had Post-its all over his house, and I used to think he was kind of crazy. But then when I started wanting to change my perspective, I knew I wanted to change my life. I would write stuff down on Post-its. I would have stuff on whiteboards all over my house. I would change affirmations here and there, but they were everywhere because then as I was just going through my day, I would read on my bedroom door, everything always works out for me. I'm the luckiest person in the world. And when I see that, of course, you're going to start to believe it. So empower yourself by choosing what you're putting into your body. And you can brainwash yourself with affirmations. That was my whole point. So there we go.
Yes. And before I jump to you, Carly, I want to say Barbara Faison used to do these lives. And one quote that she would always repeat from Louise Hay was, I know that everyone loves me and always wants to help me. And like she would go to the post office or wherever and she'd be repeating that. I find myself doing that now. If I'm someplace where people seem agitated or there's a long line, I'm like, I know that everyone loves me and always wants to help me. It's just, this is going to work for me. I'm not going to be here all day. They're not going to be cranky. They're not going to be rude. And it really helps. It really does. And even just the meta, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. I say that in my mind when I see somebody who is about to help me, who's not having the best day. It's like, all right, I'm going to give them some energy and hopefully and it usually works. I would say 90% of the time. Carly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, like Jackie was saying, there has to be that balance. And, one of the things that I'm really passionate about also is shifting the language that we use. So I know Jordan said it in the comments earlier, like I don't have to do anything. I get to do it, and with affirmations, it's the same thing. If you can't believe it yet, and you're saying, I am, and there's something inside of you that's not believing it yet, just shift the language a little bit to say, I am on my way to. believing I am worthy. That's it. Because you're not saying, I want to be worthy. You're saying, I'm on my way, because you're still putting it in the right positive perspective. So yeah, and it's the same as, you know, like when we ask our higher self guidance, and we often sit there going, well, I don't know what the answer is. Well, if I did know, what would it be? So we're putting it out there because we do have the answer there. If I did know, what would it be? I am on my way to receiving. I am open. I am ready. I am willing. You know, so it's about finding that balance, you know, instead of, and it's the person. So I think when it comes to affirmations, we've got to work on it consistently, you know, because it's like buying that lotto ticket. If you bought a lotto ticket and instantly say, I'm buying it, but I'm probably not going to win, well, then what was the point of buying it? You know, you've got to start shifting the language that you're using. And this is where we get to call ourselves out on our own accountability for the language that we use, because that's both in here and what comes out of our mouth. That's where we start to shift everything. And I can't remember if that was what I was going to say, but I went off on that anyway. So
That's fine. Greg. Greg.
This has just been absolute joy. A, just thank you to all the teachers being here, and B, thank you for everybody who's come to attend this live. Just whatever you've been saying, the questions, everything's just, I just want to remind everybody that right now you're creating a really beautiful feeling place, right? A beautiful feeling space.
Yes.
And I love, you know, when I hear a story like what Carly told, and when I say that I know that we've all had a story similar to that, there's just a great sense of belonging for me when I remember that I'm not alone in that regard, and that I'm not alone in this human experience. And that made me want to mention what I think it's a unique view on shadow work. I don't know where this came from, but when I started to realize that I had a gift of energy healing and began to work with people, we began to actually visit blockages in the chakras or in different places of the body, or images would come. One of my gifts is that I can tap into people's chakras, and your energy begins to show me basically a movie of what's going on with your energy in the moment. And a lot of times there's walls, there's cubes, there's amazing heartfelt energy stored in a sphere. There's all sorts of different shapes and sounds and colors. And so I started calling it, we would sometimes meet older versions of ourselves during these energetic journeys. I started calling it soul fragments, lost soul fragments. And from somewhere, I've never ever heard this before. Maybe somebody mentioned it and I picked it up and made it my own. I don't know. But from somewhere, I started to realize when it comes to shadow work, for me, I've always had a resistance to it because there's been such a heavy perspective around it. Like I think the majority of our suffering around shadow work is become the stories that we tell around it. But these little lost soul fragments, I started to realize that when we were younger and we had this experience, like what Carly was talking about, or stuff that I've had when I was younger, what we did was we took a part of ourselves and we tucked it away in our hearts, in our own energy, for safekeeping until we got older or wiser or more mature, or we grew spiritually and we're then able to re-meet that part of ourselves. So it's not, yes, shadow work can feel icky. It can feel difficult. It can feel challenging. Like I'm lately been going through this crazy process of every week or two, I'm bumping into an old outdated limiting belief that I didn't realize I had. And then I'm facing it and going, ew, gross, ow, I don't like this. I don't want to believe this anymore. And then I cultivate a willingness. So the whole thing with having these lost parts of ourselves that we've tucked away for safekeeping, to me feels really compassionate and feels very loving. It's still difficult to re-meet them. And it's still challenging sometimes to reintegrate them, but they're not bad. They're just parts that we couldn't deal with at that moment. Perhaps it was a moment where we were young and we didn't understand what was being asked of us, or we didn't understand the situation that was surrounding us. And of course not. We were 10 or we were 6. You know, I have this I have a story from when I was 4 where I had this dream or whatever it was. These days, I'm starting to wonder if it was either a visit from my guides for the very first time or something even crazier, like an alien visitation. And all the adults laughed at me when I told them about it. And that I created a belief from that nobody understood me and nobody believed in me. And I held that for a long time, right? But what is that? That's just a young child not understanding an adult's response and then doing their best to figure out what it meant because none of the adults were loving or kind enough to be present and say, "Oh, Greg, I'm sorry to hear that you had that. Like, tell me about it. What was it? Like, how did you feel?" Nobody, my spiritual sensitivity. So what did I do? I tucked that part away from me inside for safekeeping till I got older and wiser and more ready to meet it again. And now I'm reincorporating those things, right? Not easy, not always comfy, but not bad. It's not a bad thing. So when Anik talks about not feeling worthy, I get it. I mean, I just unearthed a limiting belief and I don't journal much anymore, but I sat down and I immediately journaled it. And I realized that I believed for a long time now that in order to have money, I have to give up my freedom. And in order to have my freedom, I have to give up having money. And the minute I wrote that, I realized I want both. Of course I want both. Of course I want both. And I don't know where this belief came from. And I understand for some people, digging that far and finding the origin is important to them. For me, what's important for me is being in the energy of this and realizing I don't want to believe this way anymore. I don't know what to replace it with yet. I don't feel in alignment with a new belief, but I know I'm willing. I know I want to believe differently. And so, yeah, there's this shadow part of me that has created this dichotomy. No wonder I still live on food stamps. No wonder I'm living off the generosity of people inviting me into their homes and I don't have my own because I've had this limiting belief. Does that make me a bad person? No, it just makes me Greg. It just makes me Greg. So, Anik, we all understand. And you just have to find, you don't even have to. You will find, I believe that you will find something that helps you shift these, and then you will begin to feel free. And it doesn't even matter how long it takes for that to happen. But I do believe that that will happen.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you for
that's
that.
it on that.
That was beautiful. Love it. Love it. Carly.
So I do remembered what we were going to talk about, but I was going to say before. So my concept of shadow work was about, like what Greg was saying, accessing the parts of ourselves that we've ignored or avoided or put aside because it was too hard to deal with. One of the things that my life coach explained to me was that, you know, all our emotions and every part of us is valid, but who's in the driver's seat and who you're going to let be the backseat driver, you know? So when we start allowing ourselves to come into full wholeness and accepting that there are many parts of ourselves, I pay gratitude to each part. Thank you, Captain Obvious, for, you know, reminding me that, you know, this might not be the best idea, or, you know, the fight or flight mode kicks in. So I thank each part. But I just wanted to quickly say that my friend's psychologist actually gave her a really great analogy of how to deal with different not deal with different emotions, but focus on the all-encompassing of it. So imagine you are your being is like a hotel and someone needs to check in, and so anger has showed up and anger comes and checks in and you send them up to the room. Sadness comes, you check them into the room. Jealousy comes, you check them into a room, and all of a sudden you have a really full hotel where you've done nothing other than check them into the room and you've hidden them, you've put them aside, you know. But if anger calls down to the front desk and says, hey, I need some service, you don't just ignore them. What do they need? You listen to them, you hear them, you deal with it, you know. So when we allow each and every emotion to be heard, seen, identified, give it a voice, give it a name, separate it from ourselves, you know, we don't end up with this overflowing hotel of all these low vibrational energies. I try not to anyway, call them negative energies, because all emotions and feelings are valid at some point. They keep us safe. But the low vibrational ones that hold us in that wallowing and hold us in that victimhood and control us to stop us from healing and growing and evolving, that's the part that it becomes detrimental to us. So yeah, just start visualizing them as tenants. You know, they're a part of who you are. Acknowledge them. Let them be seen, let them be heard, let them be felt, but they don't need to control us. So yeah, thank you. Oh, and just quickly on the feelings that we were talking about before, we've all been talking about feelings. How often do we repeat stories over and over again and the details always shift? The details always change, right? The fish is no longer this big, it's this big. The details might never be remembered, but we always remember the feeling. We always remember how somebody made us feel or how we've made ourselves feel. And that is why we focus on the feelings we want, because that's what we'll always remember. That's the residual energy that's left over.
Beautiful. I love it. Melanie.
Well, I was just
I took
thinking
Mel-
what all
I
of
took,
you
I
were-
just want to say, by the way, I took Melanie's job today because usually she's the moderator, but I wanted her to be a participant because she does a lot of, writing and moderating. And I was like, jump in there and be a participant. Go on.
Just when I was listening to everyone speak, it reminded me of what would you tell a friend? And I think that's so important for everyone to ask themselves before you come in judging yourself. Maybe for those of you that do that, say, what would I say to my friend if my friend came in and said, I'm suffering, I feel like I'm not creative, I have limiting beliefs, whatever that looks like, because I know that what you would say to a friend is very different than what you would say to yourself. So adopt that for yourself, because that could be a really beautiful way to turn it around and take the personal, aspect out of it from yourself. And really quickly, one thing I think is important, and we haven't touched on it at all because there aren't children in here, but thinking if you have kids, if you work with kids, all the things that we're talking about and how we all got to be where we are. And just remembering, because I think, I don't know, Greg, if you said it or I read in the chat, someone said that they didn't feel listened to as a kid. And maybe remembering that all the things that we're asking for, it's really important to do those with children. And I say this as a educator teaching in a high school, culinary and mindfulness, that it's important that we also give them a voice because they're the next generation, and maybe there'll be a little bit of less of this feeling in them if we empower them a little bit more. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And I love what IPEC said at the beginning. IPEC, your name wrong again. Said in the beginning that if we could get kids to start their day right with that 5 minutes of meditation, I think that would be amazing.
I'm just going to throw this in there. EPEC and I are going to do this because I wrote to her on Facebook and we're going to make it happen.
Awesome. I love that. Love it. Carly.
So very similar to the children thing. I think it's, very important. I totally agree with everything because, and I'm trying to instill in my daughter, take up space, be heard, be seen, be the thing that you need to be. But the biggest thing that it's not just about empowering our children with these amazing tools, but to utilize them for ourselves, because if we don't heal our own wounds, we'll bleed on the people that don't deserve it. And that is what transfers it over to the next generation. So it starts here and then expand on it and do it with your children as well. Yeah, or your nieces, nephews. You don't have to have your own children, but yeah, it starts from here and then we can empower the next generation at the same time, because like attracts like, it's monkey see, monkey do.
Absolutely.
And here's my
Peck.
monkey, just walked in the door.
Your little monkey. EPEC. Melanie, did you have your hand up again or did you just forget? Oh, okay.
Okay. So something that Carly said reminded me of something that I do a lot with my clients, and I sometimes they want to create something and they feel like they are not ready yet, they are not deserving, or they are not good enough, or all the imposter syndrome stuff. But especially if that person is a very giving, kind person who wants the best for others, I always tell them, okay, don't do this for yourself. Do it for the other people who will benefit from it. And think about if and when you don't go ahead and do that, how you will deprive others from benefiting from what you have to offer to the world. So Violet, for example, if you didn't jump in this ocean and become a teacher, who would you deprive? So many people, 296 meditators here.
Love that.
See, like if it is easier for you to put other people first and use them as your motivation to create what you want to create in the world, do that. So you can do anything. You can. If one person can do something, you can do that too. Do not ever forget that. It's my mantra, have been all my mantra all my life. And that's why I never say no. I never say I can't. I don't have that in my vocabulary. There's no I can't. So you can too.
I love that. That's amazing. Carly.
So yes, I agree. But can I also add on to the end of that, not to the detriment of yourself? So my mantra is actually, I choose me, and I actually do put myself first. And I know that sounds really selfish to a lot of people, but I spent a lifetime people pleasing and being a martyr and disappointing myself and making sure everybody else was looked after and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of people that do that. So I agree. Be of service to other people and do what you need to do to help other people, but not to your own detriment, not to the fact that you're emptying your cup. You know, the point of it is to overflow your cup so that everybody else gets the overflow and that you're not disappointing yourself. Does that make sense? So I totally agree.
does.
Put yourself out there to be of service and help other people, because that's where your passions and everything is going to, you're going to, you know, attract your vibe and everything like that, but just not to your own detriment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I-
I so agree with that. Yes. And and yes, I think what I was saying is just use it as your motivation and push to create the things. Of course, put yourself first.
And I love that. I love that we added and, because the other thing that when I was talking about earlier with our language shift, when I said I get to instead of I have to, when somebody else has a difference of opinion or a slightly different way of saying something, I try to use yes and, not yes but, because as soon as you say yes but, you're in direct competition and it's a conflict. Yes and means I agree with everything you say, and here's my extra part to go with it. So thank you for saying yes and as well, because that's beautiful and I love that. So yes and.
And before I get to Jackie, I have an and. I wanted to add, because I love what Ipek said, that doing this for me is just as healing for me as it is for anybody who's listening. So that's where I feel like I'm getting, you know, so much from it. So I'm happy that you said that. That was my and Jackie?
I just wanted to ask if anyone would be opposed to pulling a card to wrap this
Please.
up.
Please.
Why not, right?
Yes.
How I do it on my lives, just a group card. I want to ask what our highest selves want us to take away from this discussion on scripting. What do our highest selves want us to take away from this description, from this talk on scripting? Is there anything that you wanted to say to wrap this up, Violet, as I shuffle, so there's not an awkward silence?
Oh, you know what? I don't have anything to add. If anybody wants to, while you're shuffling, talk about their upcoming lives or whatever tracks, courses, anything they're putting out, feel free.
I'll be live
Anybody?
tomorrow morning. I'll be here 8:15 Central talking about a bunch of retrograde stuff and new moon stuff.
And for me, I have 2 lives every week on Wednesdays at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time and on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So you are all welcome to join. Also, I have a few meditations that came out. Just follow me, check out my over 100 meditations on Insight Timer.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I have a cacao and creativity session Monday morning Queensland time, and then an art journaling session Wednesday night Queensland time. And I've just realized that because Jackie quite lovely reminded us that it is the new moon next week, and I had promised in the chat that I will do that, my journaling thing, that 30-day journaling thing for the new moon. Well, I can't come on Tuesday, but I will do it on Monday for the new moon. So the cacao and creativity, the creativity part will be the journaling part. So yeah, join me for that.
And I'm on this Sunday. I have a live every Sunday at 9 a.m. for mindful cooking. And this Sunday, I'm doing nourishing your nervous system, plant-based foods to soothe anxiety.
Greg,
not
did you want to
live.
throw anything?
Yeah, I'm not live this week because this week I am actually training fellow teachers on how to use a technology called OBS. And that is taking my focus and energy. It's been incredibly enjoyable and an amazing long ride. But I will start to have lives again next week. But I want to invite everybody to check out my brand new track. It's called Journey Through Love to Start Your Day or Help You Sleep. It's based on a concept I was given a couple months ago about the 3 facets of love: love as a feeling, love as a force, and love as a field. And it's what we call a sacred energy journey. I take people on sacred energy journeys through a lot of my lives and off IT events. And it's just this beautiful, I mean, there's people here who have used it. They could tell you more about it than I probably, but it's a really beautiful, deep, and profound experience. So if you're looking for something really transformative and heart opening, I invite you to check it out. It's a long one. It's 32 minutes, but it's a really nice, just sit and meditate for 30 minutes. And everybody says my voice is really soothing on it. So I'm very pleased that that came out that way. So
Nice.
anyways, yeah.
Greg, I swear, you are my alley-oop man. Everything that has come out of your mouth so far, you're setting me up for exactly what I'm
That's
about to
because we're
say.
spiritual siblings.
Exactly. So we asked, what does our highest self want us to know about this scripting session? And the card that came out was deep replenishment, retreat, rest, and be held. The most selfless
Love
thing
that.
you can do is to fill up your own inner well. When we are running around half filled, we subconsciously look to things and people around us to give us the nourishment and nurturing that we so deeply crave. Nothing can grow in barren lands. You are no good to anyone if you're running on empty. The feminine is bountiful, fertile, and rich. Tend to your own well and watch as the amount you have to give multiplies. If your inner well isn't full, you will find yourself craving things from the outside world to fill it in. This is our body's instinctive way of reaching for the grounding and nurturing that we are not allowing ourselves. What nourishes you? What refuels your body? What is nectar for your soul? What brings you back to life? What is your secret medicine? What makes you feel abundant and fertile, overspilling with life? It may be gardening, arranging flowers, getting a massage, using luxurious essential oils, snuggling up on the couch, hiking, sipping a good coffee at your favorite cafe, walking around the beach, or yin yoga. What nourishes you is your medicine. When you give yourself the medicine that you need to be nourished, you nourish all those around you, for there is more than enough good to go around. Do something that deeply replenishes you today. And if that means scripting out the life that you want, regardless of who's in your life and who says you can or you can't do what you're doing, then so be it. Do what you want to do for you.
I have to tell you that that card is so perfect because starting today, I'm on vacation for a week, and tomorrow I'm going on a mini vacation with my sons, my grandbaby, my husband, my puppy, and that's what's replenishing me. Like I'm so excited to just unplug and bask in that for a few days. So that was perfect.
Love
And
it.
I'm sorry that we never got a chance to actually script. Usually, when Greg and I would do this, we would take 10 minutes and we would script and we would chat a little, but this was incredible. And I would love to have you all back for a part 2 because I feel like I could have stayed here all night. But I know that we have things to do. So reluctantly, I have to say goodbye. Is there anything anybody wants to add before we go?
Thank you, Violet, for, another amazing session, bringing us all together. Like, honestly, it's such a blessing and honor to not have only stumbled across you and found you and Mel and Greg and Jackie and Epec and all the other amazing Ask You guides that you get on here, but it's just a beautiful space to be part of. And, you bring it all together. That is your superpower. Own it, girl.
That is definitely my superpower. Thank you. And thank you for saying that. I feel the same way about you. Like I am in awe when I get to be on screen with all of you. I think you're all amazing. So that replenishes me too. Anybody else?
Well, I would like to say how blessed we are all to be in this beautiful community, surrounded by these beautiful teachers and everyone here, like joining us, 296 people at the moment, and some of them are fellow teachers, like followers from like 3 years. I have been on Insight Timer for 3 years, and there are some friends who have been on this journey with me from the start. So how a wonderful community we have, how wonderful people we have. Thank you so much, Violet. Thank you, each and every one of you, my fellow teachers. Everything you shared was so wisdom filled and precious. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else? I hate to cut people off. I'm not going to end the live until you tell me you're all done.
I just want to say thank you to you all and to everyone participating. I genuinely appreciate the time that everyone has put in and the energy, and I love you.
Yes. You're the same way. The energy for me in these lives is always so amazing. Like, like I said, it's hard for me to hit the end live. So I'm going to do it though. I'm gonna.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to join us today from wherever you are in the world. Know that as you leave, you are bringing all of our hearts with you, all of our love, and that you are always safe and secure, and you are always part of this beautiful community. So thank you for being part of this live today and supporting us, because while we have lots that we could share, it's really important also to have people to share it with. So thank you for being that important part of our community too.
Sending love to all.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Bye-bye.